According to Lentin, the genocide was a term coordinated to destroy a group of people, a process that could be accomplished through total annihilation, as well as strategies that eliminate key elements of the group basic existence, including language, culture, and academic infrastructures. And the Lemkin defined genocide as follows. Generally speaking, the genocide does not necessarily mean the immense destruction of a nation, except when accomplished by mass killing of all members of the nation. It is intended rather to signify a coordinated plan of different actions aiming at the destruction of essential foundation of the life and the national group, with the aim of annihilating the group themselves. The objective of such a plan would be disintegration of the political, social institutions of culture, language, national feelings, religion, and economic existence of the national group, and destruction of the personal security, liberty, health, dignity, and even lives of the individual belonging to such groups. In the preamble of 1948 Genocide Convention notes that instead of genocide have taken place throughout the history, but it was not until the Limkin that the term prosecution of perpetrators of the Holocaust at Nuremberg trial and the United Nations definition of crime of genocide under international law. In this genocide convention, it became international law in 1948. And in 1946, the first session of United Nations General Assembly adopted the resolution that affirmed that the genocide was a crime under international law and enumerate example of such events, but did not provide a full legal definition of the crime. In 1948, the General Assembly adopted the Convention on Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide, which is defined the crime of genocide first time. Genocide is a denial of right of existence of entire human group, as a homicide is a genocide denial of the right to life, right to live an individual human being, such as denial of the right of existence, shocking coincidence and to the mankind. As a result, the great losses of humanity in the form of cultural and other contributions represented by those human groups. The contrary to the moral law and the spirit and the aim of the United Nations, many instances such crimes of genocide have occurred when racial, religious, and political and other groups have been destroyed entirely or in part. So in UN Resolution 96/1, in 11th of December 1946, the CPPCG was adopted by United Nations Assembly on the 9th of December 1948 and come effect from the 12th of January 1951. The resolution 263, it contains an international recognition and definition of genocide, which have been incorporated into the national criminal legislation of many countries, and also adopted by Rome Statute of International Criminal Court, which established the International Criminal Court. In Article 2 of the Convention, defined genocide as any of the acts. This is the international law. So if anybody committed, it can be individual, it can be governments, or it can be militias or whoever. This convention says that in any of the following act committed to intend to destroy in whole or part. It can be whole of the community, or it can be a part of the community, or a national, ethnical, racial, religious group, such as this defines 5 acts which are considered to be genocide. So killing the members of the group is considered as genocide. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to the member of the group is also considered as genocide. And the third one is deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or part. The fourth one is imposing measures intended to prevent birth within the group. The fifth one is forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So these are the 5 acts of acts which can be considered as genocide in the International Court of Law. And incitement to genocide recognized, sorry, incitement to genocide is recognized as a separate crime under international law, and the intolerant crime which does not require genocide to have been taken place to prosecutable. So if you intend to do genocide, is also now recognized as a crime under international law. So if you have got a some plan to kill a certain group or destroy the part of that group, then that can be also taken up in the International Court of Law as genocide. So under the international law, genocide has been has 2 mental or mens rea elements. That general mental element and the element specific intent. The general element referred to the whether the prohibited acts which were committed with the intent or knowledge, recklessness, or negligence. For most serious international crime, including the genocide, the requirement that the perpetrators act with the intent. The Rome Statute defined the intent as meaning to engage in the conduct in relation to the consequences, as meaning to cause the consequences, or being aware that it will occur in the ordinary course of events. The specific intent element defines the purpose of committing the act to destroy in whole or part of the national, ethnical, and religious ethnical, racial, or religious group. Such a specific intent is a core factor of distinguishing genocide from the international crimes such as war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is where the genocidal intent had to be there. So in genocidal intent is defined as a way that how whether the intent existed. Even in the intent of incitement to genocide, it says that if the intent was there. So consequently, we had to look at the actions of certain group of armies or whoever, whether it is done with a purpose of killing a particular type of group or religious group or ethnical group with the intention to reduce their number, or with the intention to any of the 5 things which we discussed earlier. So if that is not intended for a specific group or ethnical, racial, or religious group, then it can be considered as a crimes against humanity or war crimes. The genocidal acts. The Genocide Convention establishes 5 prohibits that were committed with the requisite intent amountable to genocide. So these are the 5 things they define. This can be considered as genocide. So the 5 things are killing members of the group. While mass killing is not necessarily to commit genocide, it, it has been present in every recognized genocide. A near uniform pattern has emerged throughout the history in which the men and the adolescent boys are singled out for murder in early stages, such as in the genocide of Yazidis by Daesh, and Ottoman Turks attack Armenians, and the Burmese security forces attack on the Rohingya men and boys are typically subject to fast killing such as by gunshot. Women and girls are more likely to die slower death by slashing, burning as a result of sexual violence and jeopardize of the International Criminal Court of jurisprudence of the International Criminal Court of Rwanda. Among the other shows, both initial executions, those are quickly to further acts of extreme violence such as rape and torture are recognized as falling under the Prohibited Act. So in this instance, we had to remember what happened after the Muliwakal after the 18th or 17th, when the guns was silenced by the LTT group. They announced that after that there was mass killing and raping and sexual dismembering of women, and all these just point blankly to the, even the mass killings was happening throughout from January to 18th of May or 17th of May, and mass killing was happening. And then after that, there was torture, rape, and all this was happening. So we can see clearly here, according to this international law, that what happened in 2009 was the genocide of Tamils in Sri Lanka. So, this has happened, and this had been recorded, and then had been presented by Channel 4 videos, and other independent organizations have come across and said this. And but we don't have until that the trials or anything to do with this. So this is what we had to recognize, that what was happening as a killing members of the group, and also the extreme violence against rape and torture of the women and the people who were captured, and including the civilians and other people. And is less settled discussion is about the death of the are further removed from the initial acts of violence can be addressed under provision of Genocide Convention. The legal scholars have poised, for example, that the death resulting from other international acts, including causing serious bodily or mental harm, or successful deliberate infliction of conditions of life calculated to bring about the physical destruction of should be considered as genocidal killings. So we had to look at the second act, which is causing serious bodily or mental harm to the members of the group, is Article 2B of the International Law of Genocide Convention. So the second prohibited act can encompass a wide range of non-fatal genocide act. The International Criminal Tribunal of former Yugoslavia held that the rape and sexual violence may be constituted to be the second prohibited act of genocide by causing both physical and mental harm. The landmark of ACASU decision and ICTR held the rape and sexual violence resulted in physical and psychological destruction. The sexual violence is a hallmark of genocidal violence, with most genocidal campaigns uh, explicitly or implicitly sanctioning it. So what happened in Sri Lanka after 2009, immediately after the May, uh, during the time, like we can say from the 11th to 11th to the somewhere around in June, most of the time these people who suspected to be the rebels are held. All the women who are suspected to be the rebels are being raped and killed. And these photographs have emerged how these people has been captured, and they was alive at the time, and then they was raped and then shot in their head in the execution manner. So this clearly, the first part and the second part clearly state to us that what happened in Sri Lanka is a genocide. So by interpreting the wording on this article, yeah. So it is estimated that 250,000 to 500,000 women were raped in the month of Rwanda, in the 3 months of Rwandan genocide. Many of whom were suspected to multiple rape, gang rape. In Darfur, a systematic campaign of rape was often mutation were carried out, and in Burma, public mass rapes and gang rapes were inflicted on Rohingya and Burmese by Burmese security forces. Sexual slavery was documented, and the Armenian genocide, Ottoman Turks, and Das genocide of Yazidi, these are act frequently but not exclusively committed against women. So most of these things have happened in Muliwaikal, and during that period, and there was a mass killing and raping, gang rape, and then continuously some ladies, the Tamil lady, the woman was then eventually, when they whoever survived that attack or sexual attack, then eventually married. Some of them married their what is called the rapers, whoever carried out the rape. So this was very prevalent in the military camps and everywhere. Rape is used as a torture, and rape has been used as a weapon to get information. Whatever the information the military wanted, they used this one to get this information. So all these are part of genocide. We can clearly state that this is part of the second art, is against the international crimes. So this is the international law. So what I can't understand, the Burmese things are here already, but Sri Lanka has not been recognized until that. So there must be two rules. One is for Sri Lankans, and then all Sri Lankan security forces, one rule. The other rule is for the international community. Maybe that is what is happening at present. So the torture of the torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, punishment such is committed with the requisite intent. Also, the genocide causing serious bodily and mental harm to the members of the group. So It also visible in the Syrian Commission. You can understand that. So the third act is forcibly, okay, right, sorry, deliberately inflicting groups conditions such as calculated to bring about the physical destruction. So we want to talk about that one. The third prohibited acts distinguished by the genocidal act of killing because the deaths are not immediate but may not even pass, and rather create circumstances that do not support prolonged life due to longer period of time because the actual destruction have been achieved. The so in this situation in the Nazi concentration camp, yeah, you can read all this. Okay, so in this instances, we had to look at it, the deliberate inflicting of groups conditions of life calculated to bring out physical destruction. So what is this means? Concentration camps, which has been created in 2009 under the barbed wire, and this the people have been suffocating, and they was under the constant bombardment of the security forces continuously and for nearly 3-4 months. And then after that they was really they got into the this so-called concentration camps or so-called internment camps, and they was given little bit of food, once a food, one food, and also children and everybody was under the mental stress. And after this also, what happened? You can see. Wait a minute. After this also, what happens in Sri Lanka? We had to refer this back to Sri Lanka. They were taken and put back in their villages without any roof for anything under where they can survive. There was no food, there was no shelter, nothing. Just they have been sent out, and I will be showing some of those presentation next in tomorrow or day after. We will look at that, how that happened there. So deliberating, inflicting group conditions of life calculated to bring out physical destruction has happened. So the third one is forcibly, imposing measure to intend to prevent birth within the groups. So first, this mass amount of youngsters has been suspected as LTT members have been captured and taken by army, and they are being kept there for nearly 3-4 years without any releasing. In the same way, the women also have been captured and has been taken to different camps. So this prevented the multiplication of Tamils, so birth within Tamils, because all the younger generation either killed in the war or they have been captured and they have been kept in isolation camps and have been raped, and all that has been happening. So this prevented, and now the population of Tamils in the north is growing at the rate of minus 0.5%, whereas the population among the Muslims and the Sinhalese are growing at 7.5%, 6.5%. So you can clearly see that this prevented, and this genocidal act which have been forced, and also it says that the fourth prohibited act aimed to preventing prosecuted group for regenerating through reproduction. They encompasses the acts such as single intent or affecting reproduction, initiate intimate relationships such as involuntary sterilization, forced uh, abortions. So these are all happened there, because what happened is that women was raped and they conceived the children of the perpetrators, and they are mentally affected by it, and they did abortions, and then they couldn't have the mentality to have a relationship, and this created a continuous reduction in the population of Tamil population in Sri Lanka. So we had to look at this and also there was reports of forced sterilization and also forced abortions in the northern and eastern part of Sri Lanka. So then we go into forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. This is another way of doing the genocide, because the final prohibited act, only prohibited act, does not lead to physical or biological destruction, but rather the destruction of the group as a cultural social unit. It occurs when the children of a prescribed group are transferred to the perpetrator's group. Boys are typically taken into the group through changing their names and the common of the perpetrators group, converting them into the religion, using them as labor, as soldiers. Girls are transferred, not generally converted into the perpetrators group. Instead, they are treated as chattels. Chattels mean they are property. And as played out in the Yazidi Armenian genocide, these measures should be forcibly transferring. And we don't know what happened during because in Molivai Khal, there was number of children, orphans, lot of orphans, and this the army have taken lot of orphans, and we don't know where, because we don't know where some of the families have destroyed, completely destroyed. So only the children surviving from there, they don't have any relations around to take them, or either and also maybe the relations are too poor and don't want to know about the children. So this mass amount of children has been transferred to the Sinhalese community as Buddhist monks and other forms, and as slaves, and there may be some slave trade also was going on. We don't know. We cannot know until any investigation is done regarding that. But we have got evidences that there are groups has been transferred, and also we can see one of the people are now talking about President. Not Mahinda, the other one. Maitripala Sirisena was photographed with a group of children. And the mother of one of the child was asking, she was missing. So the mother of one of the child was asking, what happened to my child? Where she was with Maitripala, and where is he? I want to know where is he. And these are all evidences pointing out that there are a number of children after the war in 2009 has been transferred, and they are now living as, because maybe they are very infant and they don't know, and they have been living as children under the under Sri Lankan forces and Sri Lankan military people. We don't know where they are. So so we can come under that. So I just want to open for questions now, so that you, okay, I will unmute whoever want to ask any questions. Only we have got a very small amount of people, so you can okay, you can ask the questions until now. Yeah. Donald, do you want to ask any questions?
No, thank you. Just introduce
I can't
yourself.
hear you. Oh, sorry.
Sir.
1 second. Yeah. Hello? Yeah. Can you talk? Donald?
Yes, introduce yourself as who you are, where you are.
Yeah, I am in London. I am in London. My name is Manivannan, and I have been working with this genocide and other issues. And I thought that is bringing the awareness of this genocide during the Mulivaikal period is very essential. So that is why I just started this in English, and you can, I also, if any of the Tamil friends are here who want to ask questions in Tamil, I am prepared to answer them in Tamil. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So anybody have got any other questions? Margaret, do you want to contribute anything?
I do.
Okay.
Hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah, just right.
Right. Well, I just tell everybody, hello, everyone. I live in London, and my name is Margaret Owen, and I'm an international human rights lawyer with a particular focus on widows and wives of the missing in conflict-afflicted areas. I'm the director of an international NGO, Widows for Peace Democracy. And I am trying really hard to alert the international community, the UN Security Council, in the framework of women, peace and security, and particularly the CEDAW, the Committee for the UN Convention on the Elimination of all Forms of Discrimination Against Women, about the crimes, the genocide committed by the Sri Lankan government and how it is impacting so horribly on Tamil women. I think there are over 100,000 Tamil widows of the conflict, and maybe, I don't know, 30,000 what we call half widows, the wives of the missing. Wretched as the lives of the widows are, the lives of the half widows could be even more miserable, as they have no closure, they have no information, and when they try to seek information from the authorities, from the police, they're often harassed, threatened, become even victims of sexual abuse, rape, sexual slavery. And now everything is ever so much worse under the cover of COVID-19. Because as we are learning, they are putting in the Tamil areas in the north and northeast more and more forces. The army are up there, and that is, they are there in these Tamil areas, really, which is putting the Tamil population hugely at risk of contracting this virus. And why I'm talking to you, I'm joining your meeting. I hope it's all right that you are listening to me.
Yes.
Whenever we have conflicts, unfortunately, the decisions to fight and create such violence are made by men. But the victims of all conflicts everywhere are women and children. And I want to see in Sri Lanka the Tamil widows coming together to have their own big organization that becomes our partner, because I want to have the evidence. We are in the moment compiling a dossier of discrimination against widows and wives of the missings to present to the committee in Geneva that will name and shame the countries that so discriminate against their widows. There is much, but we need actual names, dates, not just narrative and anecdotal stuff. So I appeal to all of you at this important meeting to tell us who we can send our letter asking for examples of cases against this discrimination. It is so terrible what has happened. I think there are more than, what, 40,000 missing men. Where are the missing men? And there is an international convention, the ICEPPD, International Convention for Protection of Peoples who are victims of forced every country has to have a list of all the people who are in prison, so that at least the wives, mothers, children of the missing can find out at least, are these people alive in prison? Or if they are dead, where are they? Are they in mass graves? There is a duty on UN member states to provide that information. I won't speak anymore, but I'm there for all you Tamil people who are the victims of the most appalling genocide. And the violence did not end in 2009 when I was in Sri Lanka. It's gone on to this very, very day. It goes on now, and it's now going on under the cover of the coronavirus. And people are victims of a genocide because, as your host has just explained, anything that is calculated to destroy the group, such as putting them in such risky conditions that the people are now in the Northeast, is an act of genocide, and it is a war crime. Please, please help us to represent your widows and your wives of the missing and all their children. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your support, and also if you can pass your detail to us, either if you can type in the chat box or whatever, and if you can pass the detail to me, I should be able to contact you and give you more information on that.
Great. I'm going to now put on my chat box my email and our website. Thank you very much.
Okay, then thank you.
Thank you.
And also we had to think about Mr. Aru, have you got anything to say before we start on the Aravana, you want to say something? Armana, சொல்ல போறீங்களா என்ன அது?
Mr. Marion, and I'm Donald Nyanakun. Can I say a couple of words, please?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, this is addressed to Margaret Owen. Thank you very much for your eloquent appeal. There is plenty of information of what you have requested in London itself. And I'll get some of the people to contact you once your email is given to the host. I'm an American, but I'm in Sri Lanka now, and I go to Jaffna quite often, and I've been involved for 40 years on this. And I know nearly 70–80% of all what is happened and what is going on. Thank you very much for your support. My question is, these last 11 years, what has been going on? And also in the US, there is plenty of information. Just email Rudra Kumar at TGT, and he copy it to me. He's a good old friend of mine, but we don't see eye to eye now. Just on policy, on how things to be done. We can't do anything in the cyberspace. We can do jack. And also in Colombo, the TNA ex-MP, Mr. Sumandiran, he is rather articulate in all three languages. He has the information. He's my neighbor in Colombo, and again, a good friend and mutual friends of everybody. So you have emailed him and again copy it to me officially, not blank copies. And I would try and follow it up by a phone call or drop by my neighbor. But he's guarded by the STF forces and well protected. So that's a different issue as such. Mr. Sambandhan, of course, is the leader, and he's not very communicative as such. So I would recommend this approach. And in the US, there are a couple of organizations who would give you all the volumes of evidence you are seeking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donald. And is Aro, you want to speak? Aro mom பேச போறீங்களா?
நீங்க சொன்ன அந்த இதெல்லாம் கன்வென்ஷன் பற்றி சொன்னீங்கல்ல, அதுகளை எப்படி செயல்படுத்துறேன்னு எனக்கு இதுல ஆக குறைய நிற்கிறவர்கள் நீங்கள் இதை அந்த இதுகளுக்கு இப்போ அனுப்பினீங்களா நல்லா யூனிவர்சிட்டிகளுக்குள்ள மற்ற வீடியோக்களுக்கு அனுப்பினீங்களா நல்லா நினைக்கிறேன்.
Okay. And yeah, thank you. So we will continue with this presentation and Convention of Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide coming into force. The convention came into force in 12th of January 1921, after the minimum of 20 countries became the parties. At the time, however, only 2 of the 5 permanent members of UN Security Council were parties to the treaty. Funny enough, that when this convention came in, Sri Lanka was also, not Sri Lanka, at the time it was called Ceylon, it was also party to this convention. And it is very strange that they are still the party to this convention, but knowingly doing this, and they are responsible, and they had to prosecute all these people in the courts. But the problem is that there is no independent courts available in Sri Lanka. So they, as a party to the convention, they can prosecute these genocide cases in the Sri Lankan courts. But the Sri Lankan courts are not independent to prosecute the genocide cases. So, and also this proves that somebody who was convicted, killing and sentenced to death just a month ago, because of the coronavirus, that person has been now pardoned. By
Sorry, one question. That is not possible in Sri Lanka courts. Investigation about it. So this is an international criminal that is or to the UN or that international court must investigation.
They are not independent, so that is why we had. If they are independent, they are the one who should be prosecuting first, and because they are the part of convention in 1948 itself, Sri Lanka at that time it was called Ceylon, was a party to this convention. So they are doubly what is it called? They are responsible for prosecution, and if they can't prosecute, then they should able to transfer that prosecution to the International Court of Justice or International Criminal Court, ICC. But this is a fallacy that this convention is so weak and this international law is so weak and is not being upheld until now. So this is what I am trying to say this, because they could able to prosecute those people in Burma, and so many countries are willing to do that, But the crimes that happened in Sri Lanka is far worse than whatever happened to Rohingya in Burma. So the problem, I am not underestimating whatever the Rohingya this thing is, but Rohingya have got their aspect, their religion, they are Muslims, so they have got all these Muslim countries supporting them and bringing prosecution against the Burma. But on the other hand, the Tamils mostly belong to the Hindu or Saiva traditions, and what they have, what they are not bringing. The India should bring this as a Hindu country, but they are saying they are secular, and now they are talking about Hinduism. We don't know. But on the other hand, I think even the Christians, like Catholics, as well as the Christian Protestant Christians, who are Tamils, have been killed by this genocidal regime, should take it up, and they should go and lobby the Christian countries and to bring about some sort of closure and prosecution of genocide. So this is where it all even if you look at it on a religious basis, we should be able to do it through the Christian community, and they should be able to bring some sort of yeah. You want to talk? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Manivannan.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I mean, we have no legal standing to do anything what you have suggested. And first and foremost, we had to prove that there was a genocide, and we are far, far away from that point. Just because a few people get together and say there is genocide, nobody legally is going to take it up. And you can talk to Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International in London, and ask them where the legal standing is. And you know, I mean, you're just barking at the moon. It is not going to happen, period. And we are just wasting enough and more time. We have wasted 11 years, and we have wasted the last 6 years not doing anything. There were 3 US citizens who were implicated in war crimes, and the FBI, Department of Justice, and State Department have the evidence, and they haven't done anything because we Tamils haven't done anything. That is the main cause of it in the US, I'm saying, because US government, US courts, US Department of Justice have jurisdiction over these 3 gentlemen, and they won't do it on their own volition. Finally, they have picked up on Shavendra Silva, but he is not a US citizen. He is a Sri Lankan citizen. So, I mean, you can stop his family and friends going to Disneyland. That's all they will do unless they are forced to do anything. And we Tamils don't do anything. Just sit and watch and listen, and then make false claims that their hard work has worked. It's nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But anyway, these are the things, because when we don't think about it, and we ourselves are not very clear about whether it is a genocide or not a genocide. So, but as I point out in the first instances, the 5 tests, like 5 tests for coronavirus, the 5 tests for genocide, it pointing towards genocide. So, but that can be only proved in the court of law. So whether it is a genocide, or is it a crimes against humanity, or is it a crimes against war crimes, but it has to be proved in the court of law. So the court of law, we have got evidences, like Donald already said, that we have got plenty of evidences, but there is no court where we can go, no international court. Even though the Sri Lankan courts can address, but on the other hand, Sri Lankan courts are not under, because the Sri Lankan court, all the judges, Supreme Court judges, and all these people have been appointed by the political leaders, like the president. So there is no way that these people are going to prosecute President Gotabaya Rajapaksa or his clans. So all the other people who are surrounding him at present are all the war criminals surrounding him. And also, as Donald said, that is clearly that Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the citizen of US, and they should have prosecuted him. But we are still not managed to get that far because we don't have any sort of understanding. We are saying, some of us are saying, oh, it's not genocide, it's only war crimes. And some of us are saying, oh, it's genocide. So first of all, we had to come within Tamil community and make consensus that whether this is a genocide or war crimes or crimes against humanity, or all the three. So I strongly feel that this is genocide, but others may feel within the Tamil community itself may feel that this is not genocide. So as Margaret Owen says, that is genocide. But on the other hand, Donald is little bit, what is it called, not sure whether it is genocide or not. So this is where all we are looking at. So we will we had to work together to find whether, first of all, that can be only proved in the court of law. It cannot be proved anywhere else. We can say it's genocide, but on the other hand, it has to be proved in the court of law. That is why we are saying that it has to be a ad hoc tribunal, or it has to be some sort of it has to be passed to the International Criminal Court, which Sri Lanka is not a party to that. But on the other hand, other countries can take Sri Lanka to the International Criminal Court or International Court of Justice, like whatever the Cameroon did for Burma. So take them to the International Court of Justice to find, at least to prevent. But none of them have taken it anything until now. But the Tamils are not forthcoming to do this. So this is where the problem is. Until the Tamils get together as one voice and then take this as a voice of genocide, it doesn't matter whether whether it is a genocide or not. As far as I'm concerned, is that it had to be proved in the court of law. It's like a murder. You can say that it's a murder or a manslaughter. It can be only proved in the court of law. We cannot prove it outside. As a victim, I can say it's a murder. As perpetrators, they will always go for manslaughter or even lesser charge. So as far as we are concerned, we had to work together to take it to a court of law where it can be proved in either way, whether it is genocide. We are saying it's genocide. If it is a murder, then just it's a calculated murder. It's a pre-planned murder. So that is what we are saying. Others may say, oh, it doesn't appear to be. So that is why I'm going to look at this other part of this section. So Convention on Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide coming into force. The convention came into force as international law on the 12th of January 1951, with a minimum of 20 countries becoming parties at that time. However, only 2 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council were party to the treaty: France and the Republic of China, and Soviet Union ratifies it in 1954. The United Kingdom in 1970, and the Republic of China in 1983, having replaced the Taiwan-based Republic of China on the UNSC Security Council in 1971. The United States in 1988, this is a long delay in support of the convention by the world's most powerful nations, caused the convention to languish for over 4 decades. Only in 1990 did the international law on the crime of genocide began to be enforced. Security Council on Genocide. UN Security Council Resolution 1674 adopted by the United Nations Security Council on 28th of April 2006, reaffirming the provisions of paragraph 138 and 139 of 2005 World Summit Outcome Document regarding the responsibility to protect population from genocide, war crimes, and ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. So this has come in 2005, but nothing has been stopped in 2009. The resolution committed the council to take action to protect civilians in armed conflict. I don't know why the UN withdrawn. UN agencies withdrawn in 2009 after creating a UN Security Council Resolution 1674, and they have withdrawn from Sri Lanka. They should have been stayed there, and the international protection had to be given to them. But this is where UN failed. So, and in 2008, the UN Security Council again adopted a resolution in 1820, which noted the rapes and other form of sexual violence can constitute war crimes, crimes against humanity, or constitute the act of with the respect of genocide. So it can be also taken in as genocide. So at present, in 2008, this happened in Sri Lanka. So what this resolution have done have no bearing on whatever happened in Sri Lanka, and it didn't protect Tamils who are victims of this action. And the municipal law or genocide under municipal law, since the convention came into effect in 1951, about 80 United Nations members states have passed legislation that imposes the provisions for CPPCG into their municipal law. So these are the countries, in 80 countries, they have laws against genocide. So in the universal jurisdiction principles, we can bring cases against the perpetrators in those 80 countries because they have got in their law the provisions. So Britain is one of the countries which you can bring in universal jurisdiction. Germany, the other countries like France, Belgium, all these countries, and Netherlands, they have got, and also Spain and Canada, all these countries have got provisions or in their local laws. So we can bring prosecutions, and also in America, but in America there are certain restrictions on genocide because they have got, they signed the convention after that's what I am going to come next. Okay, so international prosecution of genocide by ad hoc tribunal. So in Niron Chesia or Kalka Ro, chief ideologist Cambodian genocide tribunals have been prosecuted in 5th of December 2011. All signatory to CPPG are required to prevent and punish the act of genocide, both in peace and wartime, through some barriers to make the enforcement difficult. In particular, some signatories, namely Bahrain, Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and United States, Vietnam, Yemen, and former Yugoslavia have signed a proviso that the claim of genocide could be brought against them at the International Court of Justice without their consent. No claim of genocide. So all these countries, Bahrain, Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, United States, Vietnam, Yemen, and former Yugoslavia have exception when they accepted the Genocide Convention that without their consent that you can't take them to International Criminal Court. not International Court of Justice, ICJ, without their consent. Despite the official protest from other signatories like Cyprus and Norway on the ethics of legal standing of those reservations and immunity from prosecution, their grant has been evoked from time to time as when the United States refused to allow charge of genocide brought against them by former Yugoslavia following the 1999 Kosovo War. So this is where the countries at present fighting with each other and avoiding the prosecutions. And next one is by International Criminal Court. Since 2002, the International Criminal Court can exercise its own jurisdiction if the national courts are unwilling or unable to investigate or prosecute genocide, thus being the court of the last resort, leaving the primary responsibility to exercise jurisdiction over alleged criminal to individual state. Due to the United States' concern over ICC, the United States preferred to continue especially convince international tribunal for such investigation and potential prosecution. So United States are always saying that ICC should not conduct this investigation. It should be conducted through international tribunals, especially formed tribunals. So, but ICC can have the jurisdiction on this, but any country who did sign the Rome Statute is automatically the ICC can take it. But as we know that the statements here that International Criminal Court can exercise its jurisdiction if the national court are unwilling or unable to investigate. That is what is happening in Sri Lanka, is unwilling, and they cannot investigate where they are not independent. So this is where we are saying that they should be permitted, the International Criminal Court should be involved in this prosecution. As others state that whether it is a crime or not a crime, but that can be only determined by the courts. So we are, as perpetrators of genocide, we are saying that let the court decide rather than we decide ourselves whether it is genocide or not genocide. So let us take to ICC or ad hoc tribunal. So another improvement in 1996 by Gregory Stannington. He is the president of Genocide Watch, and presented a brief paper, so-called 8 stages of genocide, at the United States Department, U.S. Department of State, and suggested that genocide developed in 8 stages that are preventable, and predictable, and to accelerate. So we had to, so we look at it, 1 minute. Okay. So we find what we can identify genocide. So how can we identify genocide? So the stage 1 of identification, classification, is people are divided into us and them. So characteristics, people are divided into us and them, that is classification. And the main preventive measures at this early stage is to develop a universality institutions that transcend division. So it's also, I am just going to say us and Thames, that Tamils are tigers and they are terrorists. So that is what is called us and them. So every youngster and young woman have been looked at as potential tigers or potential tigeress and terrorist. So this is between us and them. So this is the first stage. The second stage of recognition of genocide is when symbolization with the combination of hatred symbols may be forced upon unwilling members of Pariah group. Pariah means is a Tamil word anyway. So Pariah means a segregated, lower, untouchable sort of a group. So that is how they say Tamil dog. So they say Tamil Balla or something like that. So they refer Tamils as this. So Balla. So this is a combination of symbolism and hate symbols are legally forbidden and can hate speech. But there is no law which preventing, like in Western countries, there are laws preventing hate speech, but there is no law preventing the hate speech. But they brought in something during after 2009, but still it is not enforced to the rigorous strength. When they find the people who are wearing the yellow robes, and this rule doesn't apply to them, they can speak whatever they want. And the third one is, that is a symbolism. The third one is dehumanization. One group denies the humanity of the other group's members of the are equated with the animal, vermin, insects, or diseases. Members of it. So this is one of the things which you can find, that Buddhists are superior. The Buddhism is superior to other religions in that area, and the Buddhism have got superior rights over other groups. So this is the discrimination or dehumanization. They are low, even when it's said in the Mahavamsa that when Elala was killed by Duddagai Muni, and he was little bit in distress. So one of the Buddha Bhikkhu, he came in and said that, see, you have not killed a human being, you have killed an animal sort of person. So that you should not be worried about killing him. So this is nearly 2000 years ago, this Mahavamsa principle have come in. So they have considering Tamils from nearly 2000 years as a lower race, a persons who doesn't have the equal status as Sinhala Buddhist. So the local international leaders such should condemn the use of hate speech and make culturally unacceptable. Leaders who incite the genocide should be banned from international travel, and their foreign finances should be frozen. These are recommendations by Genocide Watch. Some of them have been accepted now, some of them have not been accepted until now. So the stage 4 is a genocide is always organized organization of genocide. Genocide is always organized. Special army unit and militias are often trained and armed. So this can be considered. If you look back in Eastern Province, there are a lot of task forces which are going and killing Tamils without any questions. They are the court judge and jury and executioners. So they just go in, and then they find anybody, they think that, oh, they are terrorists, so they could shoot them. It's just like they say, if they say terrorists, then they are saying that, oh, they are mad dogs, let kill us. That is where the balla or the Sinhalese word come in. You know, like Tamils are considered as dogs, so they are not fit to be living in Sri Lanka. So, so this is one of the organizations of this task force and other people, militias who are supporting the Sri Lankan government has been supported by so many small groups. That groups even prepared to kill their own people. That is discouraged. But on the other hand, they are the missionaries and working for money without any conscience. So those are the people who organization which killed and did the genocide in Sri Lanka. And the UN should impose armed embargoes on the government and citizens of the countries involved in genocidal massacres, and create how to prevent this one is by create commissions to investigate the violation. But this has not happened up to now. So the organization, this is how you can prevent the genocide in the world. The next one is polarization. Hate groups broadcast polarizing propagandas. So Tamils are terrorists, Tamils are LGT, Tamils are like that. So these are all the things which when the Tamils ask for their rights, even small rights like, oh, we want our rights to have our land back. We want to move the army from proportionately moving them from their land and occupying their land. They have been accused as terrorists and terrorist sympathizers, and they have been. So this is what is called polarization. The prevention may mean security protection for moderate leaders or assistance to human rights groups, and deterrent extremists should be opposed by international sanctions. They should bring in sanctions. If the polarization happen, the Security Council should bring in sanction against those countries. But these are all recommendations which has been done and submitted to the US. But until this time, some of them have been taken in, and most of them not have been taken in. The preparation. Victims are identified and separate out because of their ethnic religious identity. So these victims are separated out because of their ethnic and religious identity, and so this is preparation to commit genocide. So at this stage, genocide emergency must be declared, and then maybe that if the country cannot prevent this genocide, then some Security Council should allow the international monitors, UN peacekeeping forces should be coming in. And sometime, so this has happened in certain part of the countries. So the next one is extermination. Next one is the extermination of killers because they do not believe their victims are that extermination. It is the extermination of the killers because they do not believe their victims are fully. So we had to either capture those killers and then bar them from access to their victim. So preventive at this stage, only rapid, overwhelming armed intervention can stop the genocide. Real safe areas for refugee camp to escape corridors should be established with a heavily armed international protection. So this is that happened in 2009, but unfortunately, the UN didn't have the backbone to do that. So what they allowed the genocide to happen. The determination of 7 should have happened there, because in 1983, Indira Gandhi said that it's a genocide against Tamils in Colombo, and 3,000 Tamils was killed. So, in 2009, this was happening. It was so bad that the international community withdrew from even Channel 4 said that this is wrong. And this genocide should have been prevented. Nearly 150,000 lives should have been saved, but it has not happened. And this the UN should take responsibility and should bring in at least the ad hoc tribunal or court to see the justice. So the eighth one is denial. That is what the Sri Lanka is doing. Oh, our people are heroes. Our army is the heroes, and they hold one side, one hand, the peaceful Bible of Buddha or Buddha's Sasana, and they don't get, they will not even kill a ant without any reason. So ants are superior than Tamils, you know. So this is the perpetrators deny. So they continuously deny any crime. They have not done anything wrong. They didn't, first, what is it called, Rajapaksa came out in 2009 said, I didn't kill even a zero civilians. I don't kill any civilians. All the people have been dead. They are terrorists. And all those people against the peace of the world. So this is what he was propagating. So this perpetrated denial. So the response of denial is the punishment by international court or ad hoc tribunal or national court. But national courts are not independent in Sri Lanka, so there should not be any prosecution there. So it had to be done through international court, that is ICC, or ad hoc tribunal like Rwanda, Yugoslavia, and Bosnia, and Sierra Leone. These are all ad hoc tribunals. So we should be going in that method. So then in 1996, there was they proposed 8 stages of genocide. In 2012, this the same group of Genocide Watch, which proposes 12 postulate to identify the genocide. So that is, one is still classification, then symbolism, as I said earlier, and then now they are included discrimination. So discrimination, Tamils has been discriminated for a very long time. 1956, the first discrimination happened in 1949 when they get rid of the right to vote, and for upcountry Tamils who lived in that country for nearly more than 150 years. And also they are the backbone. They are the backbones of rubber and tea estate and economy of Sri Lanka, as at that time Ceylon. So they have been discriminated, and then their citizenship has been abolished, and they have been sent back. Some of them stayed back, and they're all sort of problem. That is a discrimination. Then in 1956, within 24 hours, Sinhala Only Act came in, and then to force Tamils who are in the positions of authority to learn language within 24 hours. Anybody cannot learn another language within 24 hours. So this is the biggest discrimination which has happened. And then again, when we look at it, when we look at it, and the other one is dehumanization, calling Tamils a terrorist, and Balla, the dog, all these, and also in the Buddhist Sasana itself, anybody who is not a Buddhist are not human. So this is another dehumanization. These are the things which we should brought in to the public fora, and then argue our case for the genocide. And then organization. Yeah, in Eastern Province, there was a lot of task force created. And that task force really, they are the justice executioners and the jury to all the execution they did in Eastern Province as well as in the Northern Province. But in Northern Province, issue is that there was mostly, in many reasons, it was covered under the protection of the Tamilolam de facto state. So they couldn't do much until 2009. But in the eastern province, they are continuously killing of people and all that dehumanization that happened. Organization, again, we talked about it. Polarization, polarizing Tamils as a terrorist, and say anybody asks for their rights, they are considered as a terrorist, and they should be able to handle them. That is how they are using that. So this is, and the preparation has happened, and they are prepared to kill, but United Nations left the shore of Sri Lanka in 2009, where this in 2008, I think, as mass killing started happening. And the persecution is continuously happening in Sri Lanka, but then that should be also coming addition to the genocide. So persecution also happened. Then the extermination, there is large number of Tamils has been exterminated either by killing by Mullivaikkal in 1983 and in 1956, and also a mass amount in 1949 as disenfranchisement of upcountry Tamils. So all these are extermination of Tamils in 1956, 58, 77, and also they burned the library in 1981. So all these acts are part of extermination of Tamils. Then the final part, 10.1, is the denial. So with that, do you have any questions? You can open your this thing and ask any questions regarding this, or make any comments, so that we will be I will answer, or others can also answer.
I want to say something. Hello? Hello?
Margaret?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
But what really upsets me, listening to everything that you said so powerfully, and we have heard it again and again and again. And just, I think it was before Christmas, maybe it was last December, I was speaking at a big meeting held in the House of Commons in Westminster, with lots of people there, including Jeremy Corbyn came as well.
Yeah.
And somebody who was speaking from the UN, there were various members of parliament and Tamil researchers and human rights activists. And it was a packed meeting. But so what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I want to know, please, maybe I didn't listen to everything you were saying. I've got to leave the meeting in a minute because I've got another one with the UN.
Yeah,
I want to know why we can't use the universal jurisdiction. And when anyone comes here, I mean, you're saying that it can't really be accepted as a genocide because it's got to be in court, but the Sri Lankan government has systematically refused the UN asking for an independent investigation. So I would like to see somebody attempting to arrest anybody coming here to this country, to the UK, under the universal jurisdiction, at least have an attempt to do something like that, because otherwise it makes a mockery of even the principle of the universal jurisdiction. Can you respond to that, please? Thank you.
Yes, madam. We have tried. You know, one of the guys who was here in February 2009, sorry, not 2009, 2018, not 18, 19, in front of the in front of the High Commission of Sri Lanka, he sought the hand gesture. You might have seen that case which has been brought forward here in this country, and he was one of the war criminals, and he was Priyanka Fernando, and he was one of the war criminals, and this country let him go. You know, we even requested all these people, even the politicians and everybody, and to stop him, we even requested the country's prosecutor on this country. They are not acted. Immediately Sri Lanka, they said that they had immunity, and that has been proved wrong in the court of law. And also there's a case pending on him. If he come back to this country, he may be arrested for to be stand in front of the court to answer a few questions of Westminster Magistrate Court. So we have tried it. We tried our utmost in that. And there is another one who is still here in the embassy. He is also another war criminal. He was also involved in 2009 thing. So they are under the guise of protection. You know, as a human rights lawyer, you should know that they are under the protection of the diplomatic immunity. So this is what is Sri Lanka is using the diplomatic immunity as the means to stop prosecution. So anybody coming out there now, all the people who are like Sarvendra Silva, everybody now are appointed by the Gotabaya Rajapaksa. They are under the immunity now. So even if they come here, they will be under the immunity. But there are some concepts. I don't know whether this immunity applies to genocide and crimes against humanity. So that has to be again tested and in the court of law. And this is where the problem is. So we are always working out, and especially there are 10 cases against him in Gotabaya in America. That even with the cases pending, American allowed Gotabaya to escape from America. So all these things are like we don't know whether they are. I think they are trying to use this genocide against Sri Lanka when Sri Lanka go towards China more. So this is where the issues is. It has become a political genocide, has now become a political football. So anyway, as Nanakon said, that we all should get together with the support of the people like you, and also in that thing you said earlier, I also attended that meeting. In that meeting, there was a Petri, the person from United Nations. He's the one who investigated that Petri report, and he himself is not very happy. He said that this UN system is not properly constituted to handle this crime. So the Petri report, the person who the UN went out, and then that person, there was a report that Petri himself came to that meeting. It was great, but on the other hand, we thought that when this what's called Jeremy Corbyn may become the prime minister, but that all went other side. So at present we don't have any. We can only say
something quickly before I leave the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Now we've got a new Labour leader. We've got Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
And I know him well, and he's a human rights lawyer.
Yeah.
And I want you now to go to him, because we've left the EU and it's absolutely ghastly, but we are on the horrible Security Council. We know all about Russia and China and the veto. But if we want to restore our own moral reputation, which we're losing rapidly, then it's our labor, we have to really do something so we have some loyal opposition. And I suggest that you do another really strong appeal to Keir Sharma
Yeah.
on this issue, because he is a good man. He's a wise lawyer. He's a human rights lawyer. He is, I think, we've got a little bit of more hope there that we show our independence by what we do at the Security Council, which of course is in paralysis because of Russia and China, but it's still there. We have to use all available means, even if they don't work perfectly. So please, I'm going to leave the meeting now. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution, and I will get in touch with you, and we'll work together. Yeah. Thank you. I think that's all we have now. And if anybody else want to ask any questions, Donald or Arubugam, I am prepared to answer, or you can make your comments, whatever we have done up to now. Yeah. Donald, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something in the presence of Margaret.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
She has left the meeting.
Anyway,
you didn't understand her question, and
yeah.
you didn't answer it properly at all.
Okay.
She asked you about ministers, not employees at the diplomatic mission. So you didn't understand what she was asking you.
Okay.
Is to take action against politicians, not anybody else. And Shavendra is not coming to the UK in the near future, so don't worry about him and waste your time. I can see that you lack legal experience and expertise. I would kindly recommend that you consult a British attorney like Jeffrey Robertson, who is very familiar with the genocide and Sri Lankan issues. He's a friend of Brian Senioratne, and he's a proponent of your theory of genocide. I am not against genocide, but I'm against channels wasting their time and money on this genocide issue, because I know the Sri Lankan attorneys and the all the ministers for the last 40 years. They will be arguing till the cows come home that there was no genocide. So
that is called denial, isn't it? That's called denial, isn't it?
They'll be arguing about genocide and miss the bus.
Yeah.
So a simple thing like human rights violations, mass murder, war crimes, there's plenty chemical weapons usage.
Yeah.
Is enough and more evidence, and enough to get any court, magistrate court, or anybody to give a hearing. That we Tamils are unable to do. And forget about ICC. It will be again wastage of time. Sri Lanka is not a signatory like the US to the Roman Statute. So we are not going to get any hearing. Whatever these fancy attorneys and the Queen's Councils and President's Councils tell us that they have a way of getting into the ICC. No, we won't. It will be blocked by somebody or the other. So, we have to take that action. Otherwise, I printed 5,000 T-shirts, genocide in Sri Lanka in 1983. I don't know where you were in 83 or internationally. I printed that in the United States. So I'm very, very familiar with the genocide. Before all of you people are now talking about genocide. Much before hundreds of thousands of people were raped, murdered, killed, and especially like a girl like Isai Priya. I can name names and go on, but I don't want to take any more of your time. Is that we have to just go with the fundamentals and basics. You can keep presenting cases. Who is listening to this genocide story? We all know what happened from 1949 up to today. So, it is not a question of preaching to the choir. You have to get hearing from these people if the new Labour leader is a human rights lawyer. Contact Joanne Ryan. She works with the GTF, and she has been working with GTF for a long time. She's a former MP and current MP. Go and make your presentation. And because in UK it's much easier because the electorates are very small. Both the Conservative Party and the Labour Party are fighting for Tamil votes, and a thousand shift here and money. So 1,000 votes here and there will change the member of parliament. Okay, so thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you very much for your contribution. On the other hand, I strongly disagree that this is not a genocide, but it's a genocide. But for your thinking is that is not a genocide.
But I'm trying to teach you. So obviously you will disagree. I'm not disagreeing about genocide, but I am disagreeing with the approach.
Yeah. Okay. Can others come in, and if you want, you can talk about. Is Margaret Beckett, are you still here? Because you raised the hand and the hand. Okay. Are you there? Sorry, Donna. Okay. Margaret, are you there? No. Okay, Donald, thank you for your contribution. And is anybody else want to contribute? Sharon or Nimalan or others want to contribute? You can open it and then contribute. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, yeah, okay.
Margaret.
Do you want to contribute, or you just raise the hand? So that is why.
Well, I just think that what you're all saying, what you're really all saying right now, and it's not just in Sri Lanka, but all over the world, we've got the most appalling, authoritarian, warmongering, ghastly rulers, mainly men, doing terrible things, and it's worse under cover of COVID. And what you're all saying really is the failure of what we hoped at the end of the Second World War was a world based on international law. The point is that it's no good being so negative and saying, oh, well, it's all rubbish. We have those laws, and if we didn't have them, we'd be working to write them again and create them again. So we still have to look at that leverage. And I just want, I mean, it is appalling that we have Russia and China vetoing everything. I'm very involved, of course, with the Kurdish issue and what Turkey is doing in its genocide, not just against the Kurds in southeast Turkey, but what it's doing in Syria, where it's cut off the water, it's closed the borders to humanitarian aid. So all over the world, there are unbelievable things going on under cover of COVID. And it's we, civil society, which really have to be incredibly strong and together and make our own governments accountable and put much more pressure. And we're trying. So that's why, you know, let's see what we can do with Keir Starmer, because as they said, he was an excellent director of public prosecutions. You know, let's try with him to make our government accountable for their silence. Our government, which is at the UN Security Council, we've just got to not give up and go on trying as hard as we can. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm now 88 years old. I don't want I want to see progress and hope before I end my life. And I am thinking in particular about the huge numbers of rape and terrible sexual violence that's happening to the Tamil women, how terrible it is, about the military brothels, about what is happening right now. So I just want everyone to be as supportive as they can of us, because it's the women who are so victimized. I mean, everybody is, but it's this terrible rape and sexual torture which is so appalling. And the fact is that since 2009, it's now, you know, it's now such a long time since that peace accord. And these women have never had justice. They've not even been resettled. They've lost lands. It's an ethnic cleansing that's going on, and that is a crime against humanity. So I'm not giving up, but I want to hear before I leave this meeting that none of you think I'm talking rubbish. Please no, let's go on fighting together.
Yes, yes, we will fight together, and that this is the reason why I have organized this meeting. And we are going to, I just had the preemptive of what is genocide today. And from tomorrow onwards, we will be particularly focusing on each crime, killing, and then we will go on for how it happened in Sri Lanka, what are the evidence we have got, all that. And also, I will be you can come and join us, and I will be keeping in touch with you and bringing information to you. Thank you very much for your contribution, and you didn't talk any nonsense. As you are a human rights lawyer, you know what you're talking about. I support your view of Kesama, and because of these COVID problems, we are still inside at present. But anyway, in the few coming weeks and months, we will be making progress and write to him and try to get the support. That is what we are going to do as a community. Thank you very much with your support, and we will be able to do that. And also the reports and other things, I will let you know which groups of people can join you for this. There are a lot of groups of people I am in contact with. So let me introduce them to you so that you can do your part as well. Thank you very much for joining this. Yeah, thank you. அரவாமண்ண ஏதாவது சொல்ல இருக்கா, இல்லாட்டிக்கு நான் முடிச்சோளோ?
முடிக்கிறாங்க. ஆனா நீங்க அந்த கொஞ்சம் சுருக்கமாக சொல்லலாம். பட் அவர் அமெரிக்காவில் இங்கே இருக்கிற இந்த காட்சியா உங்கள்
அமெரிக்காவில்?
ஓகே, அந்த அது சம்பந்தம் தனிப்பட்ட முறையில ஏன்னா சர்வதேச குற்ற நீதிமன்றத்தில் ஹியூமன் ரைட்ஸ் சம்பந்தமா மற்ற அந்த அரசாங்க என்ன தடை செய்யப்பட்ட ஆயுதங்கள் பாவிச்சது, அது சம்பந்தமா தனிப்பட்ட முறையில பதிவு என்ன வழக்கு பதிவு செய்யலாமோன்றதை பற்றி கேட்டா நல்லா.
ஆமாம், நிச்சயமா. இப்ப வந்தவர் டொனால்ட் என்று சொல்லி, டொனால்ட் நானக்கோன்னு சொல்லி உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும் நினைக்கிறேன். ஒரு சிங்களீஸ் ஆள் தான். ஆனால் அவர் எங்களுடைய இதழோட நிற்கிறவர். அவற்ற கன்சர்ன் கொஞ்சம் வேற மாதிரி உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் தானே. இவர் மற்றவர் மாதிரி இல்லை. எங்கட செனட்டர் இருக்கிறார், அவர் 100% ஜெனோசைட் சொல்லி கொண்டு. ஓகே அண்ணா, தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச்.